Revealed, how a wrong number led to an amazing change. One boy's touching plea for help. Jamie sat at the kitchen table, dim light casting shadows across his math homework. The numbers danced before his eyes, blurring into an incomprehensible haze. His single mother worked late, and the faint sounds of the neighborhood lingered outside. Muffled laughter, the bark of a dog, the smell of freshly cut grass. Just one more problem, he murmured, desperation creeping into his voice. In a moment of frustration, he picked up the old landline and, without thinking too hard, dialed a number he hoped was for help. On the other end, Mr. Thompson, a lonely war veteran, heard the phone ring. He was seated in his modest living room, surrounded by old photographs and faded battle medals, remnants of a full life. "Hello." His voice broke the silence. Jamie, surprised, quickly spoke up. "I'm sorry, but this is a wrong number. Can you help me with my math?" It felt odd, asking a stranger for help, but desperation was a familiar companion in Jamie's life. As they talked, something magical happened. The tension eased as Mr. Thompson listened. "You know, I once wanted to be an engineer," he reminisced, his voice laced with nostalgia. "But life took me down a different path." Jamie could sense the weight of unfulfilled dreams in Mr. Thompson's words, and a connection sparked between them, a lifeline pulled taut over their shared struggles. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Later that night, Jamie couldn't shake the warmth of their conversation. Mr. Thompson's stories of valor and loss stirred something inside him, leading him to see that his own struggles were part of something bigger, a shared human experience. Each day they spent talking turned into lessons of resilience, but the community seemed oblivious to Jamie's burdens, unaware they were at risk of eviction. When he shared the news with Mr. Thompson, the older man's heart ached. Together, they hatched a plan: a neighborhood garage sale to raise money, a chance to knit their community even closer. As they spread the word, hopeful smiles flickered among neighbors, their spirits kindling a sense of belonging. Then came the storm, fierce and unyielding. Rain pounded against roofs and washed away their carefully arranged tables. Jamie watched, helpless and crushed, with tears brimming in his eyes. "Why does nothing ever go right?" he whispered, grappling with feelings of being a statistic, a failure before he even began. But just as despair threatened to engulf him, Mr. Thompson revealed a secret, one that bound them together through family ties they never knew existed. "We're more connected than you think, Jamie," he said, stirring a rush of hope. The history between them was richer than either had imagined, now woven into a tapestry of battles faced, dreams deferred, and victories yet to come. As Jamie stared out into the uncertainty of their future, he realized that perhaps they weren't just struggling individuals, they were threads in a vibrant community ready to interlace hope, heart, and resilience. What lay ahead? He could only wait and wonder, with fear and determination fighting for dominance in his heart. The sun peered through the clouds the next day, after the storm had passed. A strange calm settled over the neighborhood, as if nature itself was taking a deep breath. Jamie had always loved the smell after rain, the earth fragrant with life. He clutched his notebook, heart pounding with anticipation and dread, unsure about how to face the day. After school, he quickly headed over to Mr. Thompson's house. Just like always, Jamie knocked. Mr. Thompson opened the door, his silver hair slightly tousled. "Jamie. Come in," he said warmly, ushering him inside. The smell of coffee and baked cookies wafted through the air, familiar comforts that felt like home in this odd partnership they forged over the phone. "Did you see the damage?" Jamie asked, trying to sound casual but failing miserably. The garage sale was meant to be their lifeline, and now a torrent had washed away all hope. "I did," Mr. Thompson replied, his patience never wavering. "But you know, my boy, storms come and go. It's what we do after that counts. His wisdom glimmered like sunlight breaking through the clouds, nudging Jamie's worries aside. What's next then? Jamie pressed, feeling small again than Amar. Thompson rubbed his chin, deep in thought. We don't stop here. We'll have to rebuild, both literally and figuratively. When life knocks us down, we pick ourselves up. The vigor in his voice sent a surge through Jamie. It was infectious, it ignited something inside him. Together, they devised a new plan. This time, it wouldn't just be a garage sale. It would be a block party, music, food, games, everything. They figured they could collect donations not only from sales but from generous hearts in their community coming together for a cause. Mr. Thompson's excitement transformed Jamie's lingering doubt into determination. The pair began organizing, canvassing the neighborhood with flyers and spreading the word far and wide. Neighbors leaned out of windows, cautious at first but gradually warming up to the idea. Jamie watched as Mr. Thompson approached them with charm and a smile, sharing snippets of his past with just the right touch of humor that left everyone chuckling. Days passed in a whirlwind of planning. Jamie started forgetting about his math homework as he and Mr. Thompson built something of greater value: relationships. They met people who shared stories of hardship, hope, and triumph, and, for the first time, Jamie felt like he wasn't alone in the world. Neighbors became partners, friends turned into family, but as the weekend approached, so did a new source of anxiety. Jamie's schoolwork had fallen behind, and he felt the pressure pressing on his chest like a heavy weight. His thoughts raced. How would he tell his mom? Would she be disappointed? On the night before the party, Jamie lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, overwhelmed. Just as he drifted off to sleep, his phone buzzed. A message from Mr. Thompson lit up the screen. Remember, we're in this together. Focus on the joy tomorrow will bring. Suddenly, despite the doubts choking him, Jamie felt the excitement crawling back into his heart. He didn't just need to think about his struggles, he needed to embrace the community he had alongside him. A beat of hope started to form. As day broke, Jamie could feel the energy in the air. It vibrated, charged with anticipation and possibility. Was this the moment everything changed? With the flick of a switch, the world would open up before him. With a final deep breath, Jamie stepped out into the day. Would they pull it off? The stakes felt high, but he was ready to face whatever came next. The power of community surged around him like a battery charging, illuminating possibilities he never dreamed could exist. And just as the town began to fill with laughter and music, a shadow loomed in the distance, casting uncertainty once more. Who would arrive? What could derail their moment? Jamie's heart raced, knowing everything was on the line this time. Jamie took a moment to absorb everything around him. The sun was shining bright, illuminating the vibrant decorations strung up across the street. Balloons bobbed in the breeze, and the smell of grilled burgers wafted into the air, making his stomach grumble. He caught sight of Mr. Thompson chatting with neighbors, gesturing animatedly. Laughter floated through the air, mingling with the sound of children playing games. But the excitement didn't silence the knots in Jamie's stomach. As he helped set up, the reality of his schoolwork loomed over him like a dark cloud. He had made a commitment to this event, to the community, but now his grades felt like a ticking time bomb. What would happen when his mom found out? Just then, Jamie's thoughts were interrupted by the sound of a microphone squealing as Mr. Thompson called everyone to attention. His heart raced as he watched the crowd gather. Welcome, everyone. Mr. Thompson's voice was rich and warm, wrapping around Jamie like a blanket. Today isn't just about celebrating. It's about coming together, supporting one another, and lifting each other up. Cheers erupted from the crowd, and Jamie felt a spark of joy. The energy was contagious. It was hard to imagine how things had looked just days earlier. But there it was again, the shadow. As Jamie stood there clapping along with everyone else, his eyes wandered to the end of the street where a group of teenagers hung back, whispering and laughing together. They hadn't been part of the organizing, and he could almost see the smirks on their faces. A chill raced down Jamie's spine. What if they decided to mess up the party? The familiar voice of Mr. Thompson pulled Jamie back into the moment. Now, let us make this an unforgettable day. The games are about to start. Who's ready? Cheers erupted once more, and Jamie felt himself start to smile, but just as quickly, uncertainty crept back in. He started towards the game booths, hoping to drown his worries in the festivities. Children raced past him, shrieking with joy. He joined a few neighbors tossing bean bags at targets, laughter bubbling up. It felt good to lose himself in the moment, if only for a while. But just as he started to relax, a loud crash echoed from the balloon's archway. Jamie's heart froze. When he turned, he saw the group of teenagers bursting through everything, shoving decorations and laughing. "What are you doing?" Jamie shouted, trying to sound brave, but his voice trembled. They smirked, colorful confetti raining down like confetti from a broken piñata. "Just having some fun, little dude," one of them mocked, stifling a laugh. The laughter that had lifted Jamie's spirits moments ago felt like a slap in the face. The event they had worked so hard on was crumbling. He felt heat rising in his chest, anger threatening to spill over. Something shifted in him. Jamie took a deep breath, looking around at the faces of the neighbors who had become his friends. Their smiles, their solidarity, fueled him. In that instant, he understood that this was more than just a party, it was a chance to stand strong and face the storm. "Hey!" Jamie shouted, louder this time. "If you want to make a mess, do it on your own time. This is special for everyone here." The teens paused, surprised by the defiance in his tone. The buzz of the crowd stilled, eyes turning to the collision of worlds. Jamie's heart thudded in his chest, his pulse racing. But would they back down? Would he really stand his ground? There was a brief silence, thick with tension. And in that moment, Jamie realized he was no longer standing alone. A ripple of support filled the air, one heartbeat at a time, as those around him closed ranks, ready to defend the community they cherished. But would they have the strength to stand together against the storm that was coming? The moment hung in the air, fragile and electric. Jamie stood firm, heart pounding, as the teenagers stared back at him, their laughter momentarily silenced. He could feel the support of his neighbors, their energy charging through him, amplifying his courage. "What's it gonna be?" One of the teens finally sneered, rolling his eyes dismissively. But the smirk didn't reach his eyes. Jamie sensed the others shifting, uncertainty creeping into their bravado. This was no longer just a prank, it was about respect, and Jamie had just thrown down the gauntlet. As the sun glinted off the vibrant decorations, Jamie's voice rang out again, stronger this time. "Why don't you join us instead? Help out, be part of something good." The words spilled from his mouth, unexpected and earnest. It wasn't just a challenge, it was an invitation. A ripple of murmurs spread through the crowd as folks began to stand a little taller, gathering their resolve. Jamie's courage ignited something within them, and he caught sight of Ms. Garcia, the librarian, giving him a firm nod. "Yeah." A little girl called out from beside him. "We're having fun. Come play." The teens exchanged glances, their earlier bravado wavering. Jamie's heart raced. Would they accept the challenge or retreat into their own shadows? The air felt thick, heavy with anticipation, like the moment right before a spark ignites a flame. One of the boys took a step forward, eyes narrowed. "Why would we even want to?" he muttered, but there was a hint of uncertainty in his tone. Jamie felt a flicker of hope. "Because everyone deserves to be part of something," Jamie replied, his voice steady. "You can do better. We can all make this place better." He took a deep breath, wishing for a moment that he could reach inside and take their negative energy, turn it into something positive. The tension held, and Jamie's stomach twisted as he feared rejection. Then, just as he thought it was about to crumble again, the leader of the group shrugged. "Whatever," he grumbled, kicking a confetti balloon. "Help me find something to do, then." It wasn't much, but it was something. Jamie blinked, heart racing with a mix of relief and disbelief. There was a chance. Awesome. We need help at the face paint station, he said, motioning eagerly over to where others were gathering. And like that, the storm seemed to calm, if only slightly. The last stubborn members of the teen group exchanged confused looks but slowly moved toward Jamie. The crowd watched, hesitant but intrigued. The change happening before them was unsettling yet exhilarating. The party resumed a heartbeat later. Laughter and cheers filled the air once more. Jamie couldn't quite process it all, but as he turned to help set up face paint supplies, he felt someone nudge him from behind. "Nice job, man," said a kid from his class, clapping him on the shoulder. "You really stood up to them. Kinda impressive." "Yeah," Jamie exhaled, emotions swirling within him. "Thanks." But even as he took in the celebration, a gnawing worry still lingered in his heart. The looming schoolwork was still there, threatening to crush him down with a weight that felt heavier than confetti balloons. Just then, Jamie glanced back at the group of teens, now engaged with the younger kids, painting vivid designs on their faces. It was surreal how quickly things had shifted. They had embraced the moment, and maybe just maybe this could lead to something more, but he caught a glimpse of one of the boys looking pointedly at him, a flicker of something else behind the guise of bravado. Was this a real change, or just a fleeting moment of amusement? The day wasn't over yet, and amidst the cheers, Jamie's heart began to thump with a new kind of anxiety. What if standing up today didn't just change the atmosphere of the party, but also brought with it unforeseen consequences tomorrow? As dusk began to fall, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Jamie steeled himself. He could feel the pulse of the community around him, but the true test was yet to come. Would his brave stand alter more than just this single day? The sun dipped below the horizon, and Jamie caught a sense of urgency growing inside him. Tomorrow loomed large. Would his courage hold? Would he dare to challenge the storm again when the winds shifted? The thought weighed heavy on his mind as he braced for whatever would unfold next. As the last rays of sunlight vanished, the coolness of the evening wrapped around Jamie like a comforting blanket. Music still echoed faintly from the party, mingling with the sounds of laughter, but Jamie felt the weight of unspent energy in the air. The teens painted the kids' faces with bright colors, but behind their playful banter, he was struck by the strange transition. It wasn't just laughter, it was a test of change, and they were all hanging on Jamie's fragile moment of bravery. He wiped his hands on his jeans, glancing around at the growing crowd. His heart still raced, but now there was a flicker of excitement within the fear. This was a community trying to find its footing, and he had made the first crack in the hard shell of indifference that surrounded the group of teens. But could this evolution hold? He found himself wondering how long they would stay engaged, especially tomorrow when the party's joy faded away like a distant echo. As the evening settled, Jamie felt a hand pull on his sleeve. He turned to see Sarah, one of the younger kids whom he often helped with her homework. Her wide blue eyes sparkled against the twilight, and he couldn't help but smile. "Are you okay, Jamie?" she asked, her small voice barely louder than a whisper. "Yeah, why do you ask?" he replied, crouching down to her level. "You look like you're thinking too hard. It makes your forehead crinkle." She giggled, imitating the way he frowned when he concentrated. "Just thinking about all this," he gestured toward the mingling crowds. "Do you think everyone's really having fun?" Sarah's face turned serious, and she nodded vigorously. "Of course. I think it's cool that those older kids decided to help. You made them be nice, Jamie." His heart warmed at her words, but her innocent observation echoed Jamie's own unease. Were they being nice, or just going along for the ride? Jamie spotted the group of teens across the yard, huddled closely as they painted faces and laughed with the younger kids. Part of him wanted to believe in the change, but a small voice inside whispered warnings. "Hey!" A shout from the other side of the yard pulled him back into the moment. It was Emma, his neighbor from down the street. She was waving and beckoning him. Come here, we've got something hilarious to show you. He took Sarah's hand and led her over, curiosity propelling him forward. As they approached the small gathering, Jamie's heart lightened. A group had formed around a pie-eating contest. The various flavors were arrayed nearby, and someone had decided to put whipped cream on their faces as part of the fun. Laughter erupted as a kid fell backwards laughing, sending a pie flying into the air. "Watch out!" Jamie shouted, instinctively pulling Sarah to the side as the pie splattered into someone's shirt. Well, that's one way to make a fashion statement. Sarah doubled over in laughter, her joy infectious. Watching her enjoy the moment pulled Jamie out of his spiraling thoughts. Maybe, just maybe, this was what it meant to connect. However, as laughter rang out around him, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was a delicate balance at play. Tomorrow would arrive soon enough, and with it, everything that came after tonight. He glanced back toward the teens one more time. "Hey, do you think any of them will show up at school on Monday?" He wondered aloud. The question hung in the air, making Jamie's heart race again. Would their willingness to embrace something different continue beyond the party? Would they hold on to this unity when their lives returned to normal? As he contemplated the possibilities, Jamie felt the familiar rush of fear tinged with hope settle in his stomach again. Despite feeling lighter at that moment, a deeper challenge loomed on the horizon. The connection was fragile, like a flickering candle, bright and beautiful but easily extinguished by a gust of wind. With a deep breath, the real question loomed larger in his mind: what would happen when that light faced the darkness of reality? He could feel the urgency surge inside him, wrapping around his heart. As Jamie stood there, emotions swirling like the colors of the sky now darkening overhead, he knew he was about to face a pivotal moment that could change everything. Would he be brave enough to summon the courage again when it mattered most? The night deepened, shadows stretching across the yard, but the laughter and excitement continued to frolic in the air. Jamie's eyes locked onto the sea of faces, diagrams of joy showing how a gathering could transform even the most indifferent into friends, if only for a moment. He felt Sarah squeeze his hand, a reminder of the innocence here, pure and untainted. "Jamie," she said, her voice breaking through his thoughts, "can I try to paint someone's face?" Her enthusiasm ignited something inside him, pushing Jamie to nod with a smile. "Of course. Let us find you someone excited." They walked over to a group of younger children looking on with wide eyes. Sarah's excitement pushed the nervousness from his heart, and he felt light with her presence. As Sarah began to paint the face of a little girl, Jamie heard the high-pitched giggles blossom into something more profound. He stepped back, giving her space and becoming lost in thoughts once again. Was it right for him to lean into these moments of careless happiness? After all, wasn't this what they had all come for? A chance to escape from the pressures of life? Nearby, a couple of the teens were still painting faces, but now Jamie caught something in their laughter, a realness, a joy that felt contagious. Wasn't this the kind of connection he had yearned for? A break from the monotony and a spark of life? Yet, shadows loomed near, threatening to snuff out that flicker of friendship they had all shared tonight. Suddenly, someone bumped into him, knocking Jamie from his reverie. It was Alex, a boy from his school known for his quick wit and sharper jabs. "Hey, Jamie. What is going on? You look like you're rehearsing for some kind of sad play." His heart sank. It wasn't what he needed right now. "Just trying to, stay in the spirit," he replied, keeping his voice even. But inside, uncertainty clawed at him. Did others see the community they were building? Or did they only see the whispers of doubt and the stillness of tomorrow? "Come on, man. Get in the pie-eating contest." Alex's energy was electric, and another teen joined him with an enthusiastic cheer. "Yeah. Let us mess up some shirts." For a brief moment, Jamie weighed the invitation, a tension bubbling in his chest. There was always a risk in stepping too far forward, but there was also the thrill of stepping into pure fun. He shared a glance with Sarah, who nodded vigorously, eyes shining with mischief. "All right, let us do it." Jamie yelled, the decision igniting a surge of adrenaline. He dashed over to the makeshift starting line, pulling Sarah close. The contest started with excitement and soaring laughter. Faces were painted, pies flew, and whipped cream smeared across innocent cheeks. At that moment, Jamie forgot the worries that had haunted him. All that mattered was the laughter ringing around him and the faces of his classmates, teens embraced by the glow of a shared experience. Amidst the chaos, Jamie caught a glimpse of someone watching from the edge, a girl named Lily, her face half hidden behind the trees. Her expression was serious, she seemed untouched by the joy enveloping everyone. Intrigued, he felt a twinge of worry mixed with curiosity. What kept her at bay? Before Jamie could think further, the roaring cheers brought him back to the present. The thrill of the contest swept him away. The evening's energy ignited something in the group. Yet he sensed a choice looming, a decisive fork in the road. Tonight, they embraced laughter, but tomorrow reality would dawn once more. As Jamie emerged from the waves of cream and joy, that question echoed back to him, stronger than before. Would what blossomed here continue in the halls of their school? And what of Lily? Just then, he realized he was about to face more than he bargained for, not just connection, but something deeper and more profound. Could he reach out to her, draw her into that world of laughter before the wondrous moment slipped through their fingers? With anticipation gnawing at him, Jamie felt as if he stood on the edge of something stirring and whole. It was time to find out if tomorrow's reality could be shaped by the bonds forged tonight, and if he had the courage to chase after the ones who stood apart. With resolve coursing through him, Jamie took a deep breath and stepped forward, ready to bridge the gap. The moment of truth was drawing closer. Jamie felt his heart race as he made his way toward the trees where Lily stood alone. The light from the party glowed behind him, but the shadows of the night danced around her like a veil. He took careful steps, his thoughts swirling with uncertainty. What would he say? Would she want to talk to him? "Hey, Lily," he called out, his voice wavering slightly. She turned, their eyes meeting in the filtered light. Her expression was still serious, but there was a flicker of surprise that softened her features. "Hi, Jamie," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Jamie shifted his feet, feeling the weight of his decision. "Are you okay? You've been quiet tonight." He searched for the right words, feeling the rush of adrenaline mixed with genuine concern. "I'm fine," she replied quickly, though her gaze drifted back toward the laughter and chaos, where colors swirled and happiness thrived. "I just like to observe sometimes." "Observe?" He raised an eyebrow, wanting to peel back the layers of her guarded demeanor. "You mean, like an artist?" Her lips twitched in a half-smile. "Something like that." He stepped closer, not wanting to scare her away. The space between them felt charged, like a taut string about to snap. "You should join us. There's a lot of fun to be had." The pie-eating contest, look at them. They're having the best time. "I know," she said softly, her eyes flicking to the laughter that erupted across the yard again. "But that kind of fun isn't really my thing." Jamie glanced back at Sarah. She was surrounded by kids, her laughter ringing out like music. "For me," Jamie said, choosing his words carefully, "it's about being with the people you like. It's not just about the activity." Lily looked at him, her eyes searching. "And what if I don't know how to fit in?" The vulnerability in her question broke through his hesitation. He realized in that moment how relatable her struggle was. "You don't have to fit in. Just be yourself. That's what makes it special, right? Everyone's feeling free to be a little silly." There was a silence between them, laden with the weight of her fears and his earnest plea for connection. Jamie felt a sudden urge to lighten the atmosphere. "Plus, whipped cream is a great accessory. You'd rock it." He smirked, and a tiny smile flickered on her lips. "Okay, come on," he encouraged, and before he could second-guess himself, he grabbed her hand and started leading her back to the heart of the celebration. "Let's make a mess of things together." As they walked, He felt the vibrations of the party surround them, shrieks of laughter, the aroma of sizzling hot dogs, and the warmth of camaraderie. He glanced sideways at Lily, who kept her eyes focused ahead, though he could see the tiniest spark of excitement being awakened. When they reached the makeshift contest area, the chaos swirled around them like a cyclone of laughter and cream. Jamie could feel the tension ease in Lily's hand as she loosened her grip. "You'll be fine," he shouted over the noise as Alex, covered in pie, stumbled by, cheeks stuffed with gooey filling. Laughter bubbled up from the crowd, and for the first time that night, Jamie noticed that the voices sounded a little brighter, as if even the shadows were intrigued by the warmth emanating from their gathering. "All right," Lily said, a hint of determination emerging, "let us see what I can do." She stepped forward as Jamie cheered beside her, clapping in encouragement. Hope surged within him, feeling that maybe they would find more than just laughs tonight. Maybe both their worlds would collide in this shared moment, yet, beneath it all, Jamie felt the lingering question flutter through his mind: what if this leap into connection opened more than laughter? What if, instead, it led to revelations they weren't ready to confront? The pie-eating contest roared to life again and Jamie shouted, "Ready, set, let us do this." But deep inside him, a thrill mixed with trepidation began to swell. He couldn't shake the feeling that this night would forever change more than just their enjoyment. As they took their positions on the starting line, Jamie glanced back at the shadows where the night still loomed. What awaited them beyond this laughter? Would they find strength in their connection, or would they only uncover the vulnerabilities staring back in return? The moment of truth arrived. The buzzer rang out, loud and clear, cutting through the joyful noise like a bolt. Jamie's heart pounded in rhythm with the sound, his excitement surging as they took their positions. The crowd roared all around them, a sea of friends egging them on, their faces glowing with anticipation. "Go!" The word shot into the air. And just like that, they were off, faces plunging into whipped cream-covered pies, laughter erupting like fireworks. Jamie focused on the creamy chaos, barely able to see through the gooey filling overtaking his vision. He barely registered Lily next to him until he felt the splash of pie flung from her side, hitting him squarely in the face. Their eyes met amidst the laughter, and for a moment, the world shrank down to just the two of them, sharing in the absurdity. Jamie couldn't help but laugh, the sound escaping from deep within him, a pure, unfortified joy. Lily's grin was infectious, full of mischief and freedom. She dove deeper into her pie, her hair flinging whipped cream everywhere. It was as if the tension that had hung between them had dissolved in the sugary chaos. With every bite, they seemed to shake off their past hesitations. As the seconds ticked away, Jamie glanced toward the sidelines, where friends cheered wildly, their enthusiasm radiating out in waves. He caught Sarah's eye, and she gave him a thumbs up, her grin wide with encouragement. Jamie felt buoyed, as if every cheer boosted him even higher. Suddenly, Lily stopped, her laughter filling the air as she held up her hands, completely coated in whipped cream. "I think I've created a new fashion statement," she shrieked, her voice high and playful. In that moment, something shifted within her. The girl who had stayed on the edge of the party was now vibrant and alive. They were nearing the end of the contest, and Jamie could see that although it was silly fun, this moment was significant for both of them. They were spilling out their emotions, letting laughter wash over them like the whipped cream that dripped from their fingertips. "Okay, last bite," Jamie called, sensing the thrill and adrenaline pumping through them both. He took a deep breath and plunged his face into the pie one last time, determined to make a final splash. When he emerged, he turned to see Lily, cheeks flushed with triumph, and it ignited something in him. Before he even realized it, he shouted, "I think you're winning this." His voice drowned in the raucous applause, fueling her spirit further. Their connection felt palpable, growing stronger with every laugh echoing around them. The world beyond them faded, leaving just this moment pure and carefree, but even in this sparkling chaos, uncertainty stirred deep inside Jamie. He wanted more than just fun, he craved the depth of connection, a bond that could be felt beyond this night. As they came up for air, whipped cream falling from their faces, He caught her gaze and something in her expression pulled him closer, lips parting slightly like she had something to say. Just then, the contest concluded, and cheers erupted around them, but Jamie's heart raced for another reason. In the eye of a crowded celebration, surrounded by laughter, he sensed this moment also held the weight of their untold fears and hopes. The connection they had begun to build felt delicate, yet powerful, teetering on the edge of something more. "Lily," he began, swallowing the nervousness that rose up in him, "there is something I want to ask you." But before he could finish, someone from the crowd yelled, "How about a rematch?" The joyful chaos clashed with the weight of his revelation, and Jamie couldn't help but wonder, would a rematch bring them closer, or would it push them further apart? The thrill of the night buzzed around them, but he could feel the intensity of the moment hanging in the air. As laughter and cheers erupted once more, Jamie faced a choice. Would he take the risk of unveiling his heart, or would he hide behind the laughter of the crowd? What could this night lead them to discover if he dared to speak? Rematch. The roar of the crowd persuaded Jamie to drop the weight that had settled on his heart. He stepped back into the playful excitement of the moment, forgetting the anxious thought of confessing his feelings. Lily turned to him, her eyes sparkling, brimming with that familiar mischief. "Let us do it." She threw another handful of whipped cream into the air like confetti, and Jamie couldn't help but chuckle at the sight. The moment felt electric, a spark dancing between them. Even as the pie contest took off again, the crowd cheered loudly once more as they splattered their faces into the mess, the world around them charged with joy. This time, Jamie focused more on her than the pies, stealing quick glances at her laughter, the way her hair bounced with every movement, and how the remnants of whipped cream highlighted her smile. With every bite, every laugh, the atmosphere thickened with untold words that lingered, yearning for release. It was as if the whipped cream somehow represented everything unsaid, the layers of sweetness wrapped around uncertainties waiting to be explored. As they reached the finale of the rematch, Jamie could feel the tension shift again, that familiar electric pull tightly drawing them closer. He spat out pie remnants and, in a sudden unguarded moment, leaned in closer, almost daring to breach the distance. "Lily," he began again, tilting slightly toward her, urgency creeping into his voice. But before he could utter yet another heartfelt plea, their friend Jake barged in, covered in a rainbow of dessert from head to toe, holding up a ridiculously oversized scoop of whipped cream. "Hey, Jamie. I think I found the secret weapon for the next round," he shouted, drawing the attention of the crowd away from them. Jamie sighed, laughter erupting around him. He couldn't ignore the moment. The spirit of their friends filled him with warmth, yet he couldn't shake the feeling of what had slipped from his grasp. Was this the night to open up about everything lingering between him and Lily, or was he destined to let the noise drown out his heart's desire again? "Are you in for one more round?" Jake called, motioning toward the pie table, his contagious energy dragging everyone toward the chaos again. Jamie glanced at Lily, who was still wiping away the remnants of laughter from her cheeks. She looked back at him, anticipation flashing across her face, as she seemed to be fully in the spirit of the moment. "Of course I am," she replied, her voice bright. "But only if you promise to keep up the pace this time." With that, they both launched forward, faces diving into desserts, the world fading into a symphony of joyous sounds and flying cream. As they competed once more, the realization descended heavily over Jamie. Each laugh shared, each playful shove into another pie made him feel more alive, but also deepened his yearning for connection beyond the sugary fun. He felt as though they were threading the very fabric of what could be a tapestry of shared experiences, but in the swirling chaos around them, part of him still wrestled with fears of vulnerability and the sting of missed chances. Could he really navigate their friendship into something deeper, or was he merely caught in the effervescent joy of the moment? As the contest climaxed and laughter vibrated all around, both Jamie and Lily emerged panting, eyes locked again, each slice of pie falling away to expose the truth underneath. The air buzzed with the weight of unspoken words, the sweet scent of cream mingling with anticipation. Lily began, her eyes glistening as if she had finally gathered enough courage to say what had been building between them, but just then, a loud crash interrupted her, scattering the crowd into gasps. Jamie turned to see what had happened, confusion and concern gripping him tight. Would he lose the chance he had hoped for? Would the moment of truth slip away again, just as it had before? The loud crash came from behind the pie table, scattering whipped cream and laughter in its wake. Jamie's heart raced as he turned. The joyous energy of the party froze, and all eyes shifted toward the source. He spotted a pair of teens who had accidentally knocked over a stack of pies, their laughter abruptly turning to embarrassment as a chorus of "oh no" erupted around them. It was chaos. Parents rushed to ensure kids stayed safe, while others, like Mr. Thompson, walked over to defuse the situation. But Jamie stood rooted in place, jumbled thoughts racing through his mind. The tentative connection he had just begun to forge with Lily now hung in the balance, fragile as the whipped cream floating on the winds of excitement. "Hey, are you okay?" Jamie called, breaking the silence that followed the crash. He wanted to gather everyone back into the warmth, to reignite the laughter that had filled the air moments ago. Slowly, the crowd began to relax as laughter bubbled back to the surface, but Jamie's focus remained on Lily. She stood beside him, her brow furrowed slightly, her breath coming in quick bursts. Jamie turned fully to her, ready to speak, to finally say what had been pressing on his heart all night. "Lily," but her eyes sparkled with something unexpected. "This was fun, Jamie. I've never felt so alive," she said, her laughter still conservative but brighter than before. "It's like we made our own moment in the middle of a carnival." "Right?" he replied, his heart recovering its rhythm. "And you jumped right in." "I just needed a push," she smiled back. "And you gave it to me. I didn't think I could be so carefree. That's a big deal for me." It was then Jamie realized this was not just fun, this was a transformation for both of them. They had crossed an invisible line into vulnerability, into something real. The fear of judgment had slipped away in laughter, replaced now by shared stories and dreams building like the decorations woven through their neighborhood. "You know," he started again, conviction growing, "we can keep this going. Not just today, but later, too. There's so much we could do." His voice gained strength, carrying the burden of what he felt. "I mean, if you want to hang out more together." A pause hung between them, buzzing with what they both were feeling. Jamie's heart hammered, anxiously awaiting her response. Lily blinked as though his words illuminated a path before her, pushing aside her shyness. "I'd like that, Jamie." Relief surged through him, warming his chest. Jamie couldn't hold back a grin. "Awesome. I was thinking maybe we could work together on that math homework too. Seems like we both could use the help." Lily laughed, genuine and bright, and all the uncertainty left in her eyes melted. "Yeah. I could definitely use some help figuring it out, especially after tonight." As they laughed together, the party resumed around them, the spirit of connection rekindled. Jamie felt the bond he had long craved deepen with each shared word and contagious smile. Just then, Mr. Thompson stepped back into view, a twinkle in his eye. "Do you all see that? It looks like we might have a new team forming here." He gestured to others nearby, showing that even amidst the hilarity, the essence of community had not vanished. Who knew a little whipped cream could build bridges? Heads nodded around, neighbors sharing smiles and laughter, showcasing the unity they had built throughout the day. When the event finally began to wind down, Jamie stood proud, his heart full. He realized that what had begun as a wrong number had not only changed 2 lives but brought a neighborhood together. It forged connections that would stretch into the future, linking families through shared struggles and joys. They had all found their place here. As the sun dipped low behind the horizon, casting golden hues through the cheerful decorations, Jamie squeezed Lily's hand, feeling a surge of determination. He knew that while storms might come and go, they had built something resilient together, a community fueled by understanding, laughter, and hope. No matter the challenges ahead, Jamie felt ready. They could face whatever tomorrow held, knowing they were not alone. And there it was, a quiet promise surfacing amidst the joy: they would face it all together. Don't forget, if you love this journey and want more heartwarming stories that inspire, be sure to subscribe immediately to the channel. You need to take action right now. Hit that like button to feed the algorithm and help us keep sharing these transformations. I want to hear from you. Comment below about how you felt during this ending. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this amazing change. Let's spread the love and inspiration. Don't wait not even one more second to share.